o'clock, so I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. This is a regular Commissioners Court meeting, County of Starr, Monday, October 25th. I'd like to welcome everyone and thank y'all for being here. Let the record show that we do have quorum, everyone being present. If everyone would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Did anyone sign up?
No, Your Honor.
Item 4 is a vendors list. Mr. Perez?
Yes, good morning, Judge Commissioners. You should have a copy of the new vendor request list. 3 new vendors on the list, and we've reviewed those and recommend they be approved.
Second, Your Honor.
Moved and second to approve. Discussion. All in favor, please, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is claims.
Yes, again, you should have a copy of the claims report in front of you. It's 12 pages. We reviewed those claims and we recommend that they be approved.
Second.
Moved and second to approve. Discussion. All in favor, please, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I'd like to skip around our agenda for those that are from out of town. That, certainly welcome to stay if you want to, but if you all need to leave, we understand. Let's go to item number 17. And this is an action item on Vega Solar. Ms. Benavides?
Yes, sir. Good morning, Judge. Good morning, Commissioners. We're here for you today. We've been working, as you will remember, for the last few months on finalizing an agreement for an abatement for a new solar project. But in the absence of that, we've not had an opportunity to have a representative from the company share with you a little about what that project is. And so we want to make sure, there's been some changes in the statute for abatement agreements that require multiple public hearings. And so we wanted today to be the day that we posted for the final public hearing that we'll have before we can actually enter into the agreement. But Mr. Horn had already offered multiple times to come down, and we thought this was the most appropriate time to have you learn, maybe ask some questions if you had on the project. We won't be taking action on it today, but we'll post a public hearing to then finally have the approval before by the November Commissioners Court. And so Mr. Horn represents Vega Solar. He'd like to speak about the project a little.
Thanks, Rose.
Absolutely.
Hey, Commissioners, Judge, great to see y'all. Obviously, it's been quite a different year, so it's good to be back down in Starr County in front of y'all to have the opportunity to kind of share more about this project. So today, I'm representing a company called Expenditure. Expenditure is an owner and an operator of renewable projects all across America, as well as the world. They're based out of Chicago, Illinois. They have a long history of developing both wind and solar projects here in Texas, but this is their first down in the Rio Grande Valley. If you look them up, I'd say probably some of the more notable recent projects is they're currently constructing it was at the time it started construction at least, the largest solar farm in America, and that's actually in Lamar County, Texas, so it's kind of northeast Texas. But the project they're developing here in the valley and here in Starr County is called Vega Solar. I think it was the Commissioner's Court about 2 weeks ago, you held a public hearing for the Reinvestment Zone. And if you remember that reinvestment zone, it is kind of close to the existing Duke Wind Farms, Los Vientos Wind Farms, kind of off of going north on 755 and kind of west, I think at about 490 near Alguazil on the west side of 755. So they've identified, they've been working with landowners, they have all the land that they need for the possible project. What they're working on right now is getting kind of the rights, we're going to call it the total amount of megawatts that the project could be. In the abatement application, as well as you'll see in the school district materials, right now they're projecting about a 200 megawatt project, which is about $165 million in investment for the county when the project's built. If things continue to go as planned, they're projecting potentially kind of like a mid-2023 COD. So if that occurred, you could potentially see construction start as soon as Q3, Q4 of 2022. So, like I said, that's kind of just the general highlights on who's developing the project. Again, Invenergy is a company that they typically own and operate their projects, so they're looking forward to being a member of this community for 30-plus years. But if you got any other questions about the project or the company, please let me know, and I'd love to answer them for you.
So you say you plan to start construction on 2022?
Yes, sir.
First?
The end of 2022,
The
kind
end
of
of 2022?
third, fourth quarter. Yes, sir.
Let me ask you something. Do you people have your crew coming in to work in that, or you want to hire local people?
For everything where we can have local materials, caliche, other kind of dirt and grading materials and things like that that can be used locally, that's going to be their goal. Now, the actual construction of the solar farm itself, they use these very large, national contractors like Blackner and some of these other just big firms that's all they do, right? They'll bring in the specialized engineers and contractors that they need to actually put together the solar farm equipment.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people from here in the area are working on the solar panels up north or somewhere out there. That's why I was wondering if maybe those people are, probably some of them are from here.
Yeah, no, that is the goal. I mean, when and where possible to use local resources, that's what they're going to do. But there could be some, electrical engineers and other things that just travel all around the country building solar farms, and those specialty people are usually brought in. But yeah, no, when there's an opportunity to use local, that is absolutely their goal.
How many acres is this, available?
The reinvestment zone that was approved was for 5,000 acres, but realistically, once, they begin construction for a 200 megawatt farm, we're probably only gonna use probably less than 2,000 of that 5,000. But actually where those 2,000 acres are within the 5,000, that's still to be determined.
Any other question? We look forward to working with you all and.
Thank y'all so much. We've been progressing as well with the school district, and so hopefully we'll be completing that process with them, maybe by the end of the year, if not by January. So, again, we appreciate y'all's support and your time here in the community. And like I said, Rose has my information, so should any other questions about the project come up, don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And Judge, I would only add that we've already completed every component that is necessary for public hearings and the drafting of the agreement. All of that is done. Now it's just a matter of following the timetable that is necessary for us to actually sign the agreement. And then we will work with you on some of the details regarding the terms to refresh your memory when we're in executive session.
Thank you, Rose. Also, I have Mr. Acevedo with the fire chief. This would be items 18 and 19. 18 is to approve a resolution for the border zone fire departments.
Morning, gentlemen. This grant it's a grant that's offered by the officer of the governor. All I'm seeking is just permission to keep on to purchase equipment, rescue equipment that would help with border zone operations, to include vehicle acquisition and road rescue equipment.
The reason for needing the count, this is through the city, right?
State.
Or is this, through the state?
Through the states.
Okay.
The
And that,
resolution, you know?
yes, that'd be the resolution for the border zone
I
fire.
make a move, you know?
I have motions there, second? Second. Discussion? All in favor, please, aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And then you have, to approve the bank account for La Casita Volunteer Fire Department, the border zone fire department.
Yes. The funds, since we're using the county's account, the SAMs and the DUNS, the monies from the state have to come through the county, so that way, in case they get audited, then it's through the county.
How much is this grant for, John?
It's total less than 48,000 is the equipment.
48,000.
The county doesn't have to put anything forward.
Pero how much is the grant? ¿Cuánto te van a dar?
It wasn't stipulated in the thing. They did say that the max amount was 250,000, but
Pero no quiere decir que te los van a dar los 250.
yes, they're not saying,
No sabes cuánto.
And then do we have to match it with?
no,
No match,
there's
no.
no match, no nothing. It's 100% funded by the state.
And
So,
this,
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
So this is just to apply. We don't know if we're gonna get it or not.
Exactly.
So once we apply and we do get it, then we're gonna have to use an account for the county, no volunteer fire department account is there. So it falls under us, y luego ya we get audited y ya sale ahí todo.
By la Casita Fire Department budget, right?
No el volunteer.
No.
No, porque eso es lo que estamos hablando, el volunteer, ¿te acuerdas?
Go to the county budget.
Yeah, and that brings up another interesting point on item 19. It says the bank account for the La Casita Volunteer Fire Department. Technically, there doesn't exist a volunteer fire department.
Which is why I think when I was speaking to Maricela regarding the grants, since the funds are coming from the state, the auditor should open one for the account so the funds get deposited into that account. And then whenever we purchase, the funds will come out of that account.
Yeah.
Mr. Perez, we don't have an account for the fire department, or we do?
Yes, sir. Tenemos el budget que tenemos.
No, pero
bank
checking account, so they can use it, no tenemos.
No, it goes to the
And
auditor.
we have to, and we probably have to make a loan to open the account, because we're not gonna have any funds.
Yeah, well, I think we need to wait to see if we get approved. And then if we get approved, then we go to step 2, which is the possibility of opening an account. And really it's not an agenda item, but I think, what we need to do is any accounts that are out there that are for volunteer fire department, they need to be closed and open under county fire department, whether it's precinct 1, 2, 3, it doesn't matter. But, because we're liable for the volunteer fire department, and we've never approved it. So I don't know how they got started, why they have any money. There's a lot of questioning as to that, and I've had this discussion with Mr. Moreno about it, because I'm very, very skeptical about liability for the county. And you all can continue doing what you're doing, but it's got to be under the commissioner precinct. They need to review and make sure that the money getting spent is spent correctly and in items that are acceptable by law.
Let me interject something on that. Like I've told you before, and it's fine for it to come to the commissioners, let's say for la Casita Fire Department, okay? But at the end of the year, we want to make sure that money that's left, that they didn't spend, stays back there in that budget, doesn't go to the general fund somewhere. Because they're bringing in those monies to pay, they pay like insurance, they pay repairs and all this stuff.
Yes.
We cannot just, at the end of the year, say, well, you ain't got no more money. We want to make sure that it revolves back to
Yeah.
that same.
And
So
Mr.
that's not a county fire department,
I'm sorry?
that's not a county fire department.
But
Those funds, we're talking about, we
we
transfer those funds, let's say they got 20,000, okay? And we got them on account
20,000 from where?
from the volunteer fire department.
From a grant?
Whatever,
Donations.
fundraising, donations,
Donations.
or whatever. And they say they got $20,000, they haven't not spent it this year. So we want to make sure that that money stays back into that line item for the following year. That it doesn't disappear like we do here on the county budget.
I think, Commissioner, and Javi, correct me if I'm wrong, since these accounts are not under the county umbrella, then we have no control over these accounts, so we don't know whatever money's there is there. It doesn't go to general fund.
Right, okay, that's no
Yeah.
problem.
But now, see, once
That's
we
not part
start,
of the budget, that's not part
No.
of anything with the county.
but once we do and go into a county fire department budget that the commissioners would oversee, now, this is where Commissioner Garza has a point. The monies that are left over at the end of the year, much like the rainy day fund, that needs to stay in that account for whenever it's needed down the road. And this is what
That's
the
right.
commissioner-
Yeah, I mean, if it's in the checking account for that volunteer fire department, that stays there, that doesn't go out.
Yeah.
Now, budget, if we're doing a budget, that's a totally different story.
Yeah, and this would be, I guess, what we need to make sure is that whatever monies are left, let's say this grant, it goes in there and they didn't get to use it all this year, that it continues in that budget for next year. It doesn't go into fund balance like everything else does.
Yeah,
Do
you're what you're saying.
I?
Yeah, I mean, I think we need to discuss it a little bit more,
Okay.
just to get all the particulars down.
That one, we can do that. Okay, so on 19, I think maybe,
We just table it and wait until we get approved, and we'll go in this route that we're talking about.
Just the end of the grant is November 30th.
When will you know if you get the grant?
March
Do you need the
2022.
account number to continue the process?
To do a direct, the reason behind that was that we needed a direct deposit authorization form,
Te van a
through
quitar
the
la
county.
cuenta.
So that way the funds that come from the state are gonna be directly there. So anything that I've quoted in the, items that I've gotten so far,
Mhm.
that's the exact money that they're gonna put into the account
Okay.
for the purchase of the equipment that I
Yeah.
requested.
However, Mr. Zua, I think, once hopefully we get approved, once we get approved, then we need to accept it. Okay, and it needs to come back to the court to accept the grant, then we open up an account at that time. So by the time you let them know, yeah, we're gonna accept it, you'll have an account.
Faltan 2 meetings todavía, son we're open.
At that time, you're gonna have to do a loan to open the account.
Yeah, and
Just
we
like
can
you're
do
doing
that.
in the other ones.
We can put $1,000 and then get reimbursed whenever they get their grant. So,
Typically, we do 100, but I guess what
Or
I'm saying is it
100.
needs to be on the agenda as well to get through.
okay, yeah.
So be sure to do that.
Okay.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you. So is there a motion to table 19?
Those move, yeah.
Second.
Moved and second, discussion. All in favor, please, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Judge, real quick, just to, number 17, no action, right? You
No
didn't
action.
call for anything?
No, it was just information. Okay, so Mr. Cano, okay. Oh, there we go.
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning. If it's okay, we'll move to item number 15. And this is to approve a resolution authorizing the resale of properties attached to Exhibit A of Property Tax Code. Mr. Cano?
Morning, Judge,
Good
Commissioners,
morning.
sorry about that, I got held up in court in Hidalgo County, so I got here as fast as I could. This agenda item is to approve a resolution that would allow us to put some properties up for what we call a resale, which basically means that we have already foreclosed on these properties, and you should have the packet with the analysis in your.
We have a package here.
Yes. And you'll see that all these properties, Commissioner, and I really want to emphasize this, is these are all properties that are non-homestead properties. We work very hard not to disclose, any or displace any of your families from their resident homesteads. All of these properties were non-homestead properties when we foreclosed on them. And we foreclosed on most of these properties probably about a year or two ago. All of these are either empty lots, abandoned properties. There's one particular property that does have some tenants living on the property, but they're tenants, they rent from the actual owner. And the owner nor the tenants ever came in to make any change arrangements. And the taxes on most of these properties actually exceeds the value of the property. So we're at a point now where we're actually losing money every day that we just hold on these properties. And on that particular case, where you have someone living on a property, well, technically, the county, the schools, everyone else, y'all have become owners of that property, it becomes kind of a potential liability. So it's our recommendation that we put these up for tax resale, take the best offer we get, and right now is actually a good time to be putting these properties up for sale because properties and used cars are through the roof right now. So although we usually used to get about 50% of the appraised value of these properties, right now we're actually recovering close to 100%, if not more than 100%. So we're trying to collect about $359,000 in taxes owed to the county, so hopefully we get this through, we'll be able to bring a good chunk of change to the county as well.
And these will be sold in public auction, or are you accepting bids on it?
No, everything we do is by public auction. We do have the ability, Commissioner, to accept private bids on properties, but we prefer to put everything up in public auction. Public auction just gets more transparent and gives everybody a fair chance instead of,
I agree with you.
bids. So
When are you gonna have the public auction?
This one's gonna be held. Should I have that date? I know I think it's December, it's the first Tuesday of December. Doesn't have the date on here. It'll be the first Tuesday of December, that's when we have the tax on the resale here in Starr County. Well, I don't know what the date is, but the first Tuesday, so it's the first Tuesday of the month.
Motion to approve, Your Honor.
Second, yeah.
Moved and second to approve, discussion. All in favor, please, aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Judge Commissioner, thanks for accommodating me too.
Thank you. Anyone else that needs to come before the court that needs to leave early? If not, we'll go ahead and follow our agenda. Item 7, I'm taking it back. Under reports, Mr. Perez.
Again, good morning, Judge. This is a report, summary report for the month of September 2021. Everybody should have a copy of that report. On page 1, part 1 reflects the reconciled balances of the general fund at $2,5,229.46. A road and bridge fund at $474,388.27. And the payroll clearing fund at $514,537.26. Part 2 reflects the expenditure reports for the general fund as of September 30th, 2021. As a percentage of the year elapsed, this is the 12th month of the fiscal year, so that would be 100% of the days elapsed. In summary, the general fund amount expended year to date is $18,126,451, or 94.7%, that being below the 100% for the time elapsed. You see a breakdown of several departments reflected at the bottom of page 1 and through page 2. The departments exceeding the 100% are reflected in bold. You go to page 3, part 3 reflects the expenditure report for the Road and Bridge Fund as of September 30th. The Road and Bridge Fund amounts expended year to date is $5,740,597, or 93.66%, again falling below the 100% for the year elapsed. Below that, you have numbers for some of the departments within the Road and Bridge Consolidated Fund. The remainder of page 3 and continue through page 4, we have the year-to-date summary of revenue reports for General Fund and Road and Bridge Fund. Those fund revenues collected are $17,929,568, or 93.67% for the General Fund, and $6,166,508, or 100.53% for the Road and Bridge. Page 5 reflects the summary of revenues and expenses for the Enterprise Fund, or funds as of September 30th. The International Bridge reflects revenues of $1,788,546, with expenditures of $1,628,160, leaving an excess of $160,386. The Gas Operating System reflects year-to-date revenues of $1,028,859, with expenditures of $862,622, an excess of $166,237. And finally, the Solid Waste Transfer Station reflects year-to-date revenues of $1,469,469, with expenditures of $1,556,486, a deficit of $87,017. And on the last page, page 6, you have a summary of the debt owed as of September 30th, 2021. The total current balance is $1,400,868.
Mr. Perez, I was looking here, we don't have fire department precinct 2, you have precinct 2 and 4, you don't have.
Yeah, the report doesn't cover every single department. That's just the ones that we've reported on in the past.
One question, Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
Really, a couple of questions. On the balances owed, the City of Roma, about $350,000. That is the total owed, or that was for this year only?
Those numbers that you'll see down there, those are based on September 30th, 18 and 19 numbers. So right now we have the 20, so this new fiscal year we're going to incorporate, it'll be the 19 and 20 that we're going to figure it from. So it's going to change.
You know, because if there's monies in excess, you know, I'd like to pay, of course, we need to put it on the agenda for the court to approve, to pay off Roma some of the money that's owed, you know. I want to pay down on that. You know, so, but again, we'll look at those numbers and then you can
Right,
advise us.
and I guess one of the things that we look at is we want to be able to keep paying them on a monthly basis, a certain sum, because they're
Yeah.
used to getting that money. if
But,
we-
but if we have, let's say, an extra 100,000, we can continue paying monthly, but give them the extra 100,000.
I love some.
Yeah, so we can start, you know, I don't want this number to keep increasing. That's one of them. The other question that I had, let's say for example, page 4, the road and bridge, the bottom line, we budgeted 6,133,000, and we spent 6,166,000. Oh, I see.
So those are revenues.
I'm sorry?
Those are revenues.
Revenues, okay, yeah, revenue, so we have more revenue than was projected.
We exceeded, yeah.
Okay, so why is, the balance a negative number?
That's just the accounting of it, we exceeded it.
But would that be positive? I mean.
No, because you take the total budgeted minus what was received. So if it had been 50,000 under, you take column A minus column B, and it's a positive number. That's what's left in the budget to collect.
Yeah, but if it's left, you know, I don't know, and this is just a layperson, you're the accountant, but if it's positive, I think it'd be,
So say it was, year-to-date amount was 6,103,000, then we'd have a positive 30,000
Which
yet
is-
to be received.
which is, you know, again, might be accounting principles, which I know nothing about, but, you know, when I'm running my checkbook, if it's minus, I got a problem.
Right.
If it's positive, I'm okay.
No,
But this
it's
is
just,
reversed.
that's the percent received,
Okay.
and that is the amount yet to be received. And we've already exceeded what was budgeted, so it flips over to negative.
Okay.
I don't know if that explains it or not. Yes, it's
Okay.
accounting.
As long as you understand. Any other question, comments?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Moving on, item 7, this is a house cleaning, this is just the declaration of the local disaster emergency. At some point, I guess that's gonna end, but right now, it's still something that I feel we need to have in order to qualify for some funds that are available. Moved and second, discussion. All in favor, please, aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8, this is an agenda item also, it's an action item, and what this is the settlement on the opiate settlement that the state has. I received a call last week. Even though we did not apply for anything, because since we have a hospital district, and they're the ones that really do the healthcare. However, the state went and they applied for all the counties, and I was told that we had about $120,000 available to Starr County. So that, you know, we need this so that we can go ahead and request that money. Also, I was told that there's, I think, $17 or $19 million available for the region, but those we need to apply for. And the region is Willis, Hidalgo, Cameron, and Starr. So in order for us to be eligible to apply, we must approve this.
Second.
Moved and second, discussion. All in favor, please, aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 10 is an action item, this is a resolution for the Indigent Defense Formula Grant.
Nine.
Number 9.
Nine, okay, let's go back to 9. Okay, to approve an interlocal agreement between Lubbock County through the region public defender for capital cases. What this is, you know, and there's money allocated in the budget to buy this insurance for capital murder. What they do, and this is through Lubbock, they ensure that if we ever have a case that needs to go for capital murder, They will either defend us or they'll pay for the defense, which is very costly. So, like I said, it's in the budget. It's in the budget already, so, you know, I'd like
Are those moving?
moved and second discussion. All in favor, please, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 11, okay, this is a,
10.
I'm skipping one over. And, mark it up and, okay, item 10, let's go back, and this is on the Texas Indigent Defense Commission, Mr. Pettis.
Yes, sir, this is a resolution to approve the Indigent Defense Formula Grant for the Texas Indigent Defense Commission. It's the same one that we have pretty much every year. It's in the neighborhood of about 37,000. There is no matching on this one. This one is straight.
Are those moving?
Moved and second to approve, discussion. All in favor, please, aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we're now item 11. Item 11 is also an action item, and this is an interesting case on account number 0059300. What this is, and you know how adamant I am about giving any waivers on taxes, but this particular case, they approached me. This was 2012, 2013. The individual said that they had their home finance, the mortgage company should have been making payments, and for some reason, those 2 years were not paid at the county. Now, I don't know if they got paid or not. This was when we were having problems at the tax office. So there's no way of knowing if they paid or not. What makes it suspicious is that they did pay the school district and they did pay the city. So I don't see why they wouldn't pay the county. But anyhow, since then, they started paying 14, 15, 16 to today. What they're asking for is that we credit, for example, 2014 when it got paid, to credit 2012, 15 to 13, you know, so that currently they would be 2 years delinquent, and they're willing to pay those 2 years plus any fees, penalties, and interest that are owed. I think it's a legitimate request because of the history that we had at the tax office, but again, it's up to you all.
Are those moving? Check.
Moved and second to approve, discussion. All in favor, please, aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 12. It's an action item, and this is to approve the bond for our tax collector. It must be, I don't know why, but it said, it had that it needed to be approved by the court, so.
Motion to approve, Your Honor.
Second.
Moved and second, discussion. All in favor, please, aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 13 is an action item, and this is on the, to approve the 2021 property tax roll.
Your, why are we approving the tax roll right now?
The what?
Tax roll.
The tax roll, is the tax roll being finalized, I don't know how long ago? I mean, how did you fix the budget without having a
Tax roll.
What was given to us, sorry, what was given to us
did
in
you
July?
approve the podium thing?
Sure. What was given to us in July was the appraisal roll. So the tax roll is when we add it to the system and it includes the taxes owed. So it's a different thing.
Okay, so yeah, the first one we approved was the appraisal certified value.
Right, you don't have to approve those by action. What you have to approve is the tax roll, which includes taxes owed by the taxpayers. No. The appraisal roll only includes values of property.
Okay, so this is to approve how much each individual needs to pay. Is that?
Basically, just the entirety of the tax roll. We have Ms. Aquinas here has a copy of the tax levy, which is like the beginning balance of each fund.
Yeah, but that brings up, that's.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense, man. The judge has to prepare a budget based on a tax roll. He already prepared the budget, and we haven't approved a tax roll, so how can he, prepare a budget without a certified tax roll, I mean, approved tax roll by Commissioner's Court?
You prepare the budget based off the values.
The
and-
certified values,
Uh-huh.
right.
But we don't have the tax roll ready yet officially until we enter it into the system.
Okay, so once, we get the certified values,
Mhm.
then that's how the budgets work, and then you all do the tax roll.
The official tax roll is once we have the tax levy all balanced out and we make sure that everything matches.
Based on the value, you determine the tax rate.
Yeah, well, we have no say. The appraisal district says this is the value,
Right.
and that's what we use.
Doesn't make sense.
But off of that, you get the tax rate,
Yes,
and then off of the tax rate, you do
the tax roll. Okay,
It's just
so
a
this
section
is
of the code that
oh.
we haven't been doing. We should
Okay.
approve it every time.
Yeah, because I never remember.
We never done this before, you know, we get a certified tax roll, that's how the judge, based himself on preparing a budget.
We learned this on our last conference.
Yeah, but I think Mr. Perez makes a good point. When we do the budget, I do the budget based on certified values, and from there, the court approves a rate, and from the rate, they approve the tax roll, or they bring the tax roll for approval. So it's instead.
So according to section 2604, the Texas Code says that we have to approve, you have to approve the tax. So this is a copy of the beginning, the rich fund.
Second, yeah.
I have a motion to approve, and second, discussion. All in favor, please, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 14 is an action item, and this is to you know, as you all well know, we give a 3% for those that pay in October. They're asking that we give the 3% discount through November, since the tax statement just went out. And we've done this before. We extend
Until November
everything.
the 15th.
I'm sorry?
To give an extension to November the 15th.
To November 15th, and then the 2% would be December 15th?
No, this is just for October since the statements went out.
Okay, and then the 2% would be from the 15th to the end of
Right.
November,
Right.
and then 1% in December. Is your motion, who made the motion?
I made the motion.
Is that okay? And seconds, okay. Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve that. Discussion? All in favor, please, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 16 is an action item, and this is the financing of New Hope Cultural Education Facility Finance. I don't know what this is. Raina, what's this?
I have no idea.
Motion to table, Your Honor?
I have a motion to table. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, please, aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 20 is an action item, and this is the preliminary approval for Tierra Santa Estate Phase 4.
Yes, good morning, yes, Commissioners. On this one is just to, asking for preliminary for these two lots, they're gonna be commercial. Tierra Santa has been already, that's what it's already, requesting for those to be covered.
Very much appreciated, I do so move. Second.
Moved and second to approve. Discussion. All in favor, please, aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for that. Item 21 is an action item, and this is the approval of election day workers for the state amendment election.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Judge, you also have the name in front of you. Do you have any questions about it? For election day, workers.
I do move.
Second, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Okay. Motion and second, discussion. All in favor, please, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 22 is an action item to establish the federal fiscal year 2022 county 4E contract, CBP, CPS, I'm sorry.
Good morning, Commissioners, Judge. This contract is a recurring contract that we've had for approximately 6 to 8 years. What it is, it reimburses the county for anything, any expenses associated with CPS and the children that are placed. They take the number of kids in placement by, in the county for the previous quarter. They determine that number, and then they multiply that by a rate, determines our reimbursement amount that the county gets.
Motion to approve, Your Honor.
Second.
Moved and second, I have some discussion on this. For one, Mr. Canales, you know, and I recommended to the court to table it, because it says total anticipated county match, $283,000. Where's that money coming from?
It is not a match, this is a reimbursement grant. I believe that that's the cap amount that the county can match. Theoretically, if the county was to put up $283,000, that would be the maximum amount that the state could reimburse. That is not a mandated match, it is not a grant. This is a contract where it's a reimbursement contract. That is, I understand what the court is used to seeing a county match where we're gonna pay a certain amount of money. No, that is not what this is.
Okay, that was one of the questions. The other question that I had was on the salaries.
Yes, sir.
I can understand the assistant county attorney and the legal assistant getting paid from this, but the county attorney, it'd be like me asking for a grant and then say, well, I wanna keep 50,000 on
It's
my
the,
salary.
and actually, it does not even come to my salary, Judge, at all.
Does that
What-
get reimbursed to the county?
That gets
For your
reimbursed to the
salary?
county. Whatever amount that the percentage, basically, if we do not include my salary in there, Judge, that's money that we're leaving on the table. I don't get a separate amount of money from this grant. In other
Okay,
words,
so any money that comes in from this goes into the county coffers
correct.
to reimburse us?
Yes, that is correct, Judge. None of it comes to me. I don't receive a penny. The only way that I can have an increase in my salary is the same way that Your Honor and the commissioners can have an increase, where we have to publish it and we have to get an increase. I don't receive a penny from this, Judge.
Okay, yeah, those were the two questions that I had. The big one being the
The match.
county match.
Yes,
You know, that's a big one.
This is the third year, Judge, that the court has had the same questions. It is, in fact, like I said, it is a reimbursement grant. I apologize. It is a reimbursement contract. It is not a grant. It is a reimbursement contract with the state, which gets us through the federal monies to reimburse us for the amounts that were expended. Because we don't know, let's suppose, Judge, that we have a great and wonderful year, that all the kids that are in placement get sent back home to their parents, and we end up with 0 kids in placement. We don't get a penny back. We don't get anything at all. We can't submit and ask for any monies because there are no kids.
Is
And that's
this,
what it is.
is this the grant or contract that we have trouble getting reimbursed? I know at one time,
What it was,
we were
Judge?
told that it took 6 months for us to get reimbursed.
And it's not trouble, Judge. It's just a matter of the county actually seeing it under the previous auditors. They couldn't answer us. The previous 2 auditors could not answer where the money was going. They had no idea. Since Mr. Perez has been in there, he actually has been able to establish where it's at and move it. And it's a continual thing it's every 3 months. It's basically, it takes the first quarter to figure out how many kids are in care. And then we figure out that number, we multiply it by the factor, and then we submit the bill, and it takes us that additional quarter. That's only the first 2. It is, for practical purpose, it is every 6 months. But again, this was started 6 to 8 years ago. So we're receiving every quarter, we're receiving the monies.
See, and I've had this discussion with Mr. Perez. The problem is, if you look at your report that you gave just now, it shows your office being in the red 50-some thousand. And my understanding is these are monies that are in transition from grants, yet I never know if we ever got them or not. Because it takes so long.
No, that wouldn't be part of that budget there. What part of it might be is if we don't have those numbers from HR to put into the grant itself, and it's coming out of the general fund, so it's coming out of his budget, so it's making the budget look bad. But those, because it actually is being paid from his budgeted amount, we just need to transfer those monies over to the grant.
And again, you know, it might be that every penny's getting paid, but I don't see it, you know,
I mean, the alternative to this is we don't approve it and we don't get any
no,
reimbursement.
no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying there has to be a better mechanism so that the court is on top of things, how the money is being spent, when it's coming in, and so forth, you know. We do it for HR, we do it for federal state programs, you know, yeah, we'll advance money, but we make damn sure we get paid. And this is one that I never know if we got paid or not until the audit is done, which was 3 years ago. So by then I forget what happened, so.
And like I said, Judge.
There is a lag time. I mean, there's no doubt there's a lag time because of what Mr. Canales just explained.
Well,
There's a
maybe
process.
if we try and speed it up some, because, see, the 3 months, well, we have the previous 3 months history, which was, even though it's another budget year, but we had that history. Why do we need to wait now and wait another 3 months?
Because of the way they figure out the numbers, Judge. That's a simple answer. Because we don't have that reimbursement amount number until we're dealing with the previous quarter to figure out that number. So then we can actually bill once we know that number. And then it takes about a quarter to get that money.
But,
You-
you know, on the audit, I never see it reflect that money, that's where you were in a deficit. The following year, they were caught up,
No,
and then the other one either.
we're talking about different things, Commissioner. It's a different account. This
That's
is
what I was gonna say, but it shows in your budget that you have a deficit.
correct.
And then on the audit, and the following year, we don't have the reflection that you should have cut off the following year, but it didn't. You're still on the deficit all the years.
As I stated, Commissioner, what was going on before, I can't remember his name, previous auditor,
Carter?
Mr. Carter. Mr. Carter and Rosalinda, both of them, they did not account for these monies. They literally had no idea, and I asked Mr. Carter for almost 6 months, what account is it going to? What account is it going to? He had no answer for me. It's only been this last year that Mr. Perez has actually, and his staff has figured out where it was going, redirected it properly into the proper account. So my accounts were never getting credited that money. That money's been coming into the county,
That's what I'm saying.
but I was never getting credited with it. You know,
That's what
so in
I'm
other
trying
words,
to
it was
say, it
coming-
doesn't reflect on the audits that
Correct.
those monies came in, where did they go to?
they were all going into the general fund. They were just being dumped into the general fund, and my office was not getting credited for that.
So the expenditure was coming out of his budget, but the money, the reimbursement was going into the general fund.
And no one could ever see it.
That's what I'm saying,
Yeah,
but it should be a check,
And I'm not
check
picking on you.
No, I
you know.
understand it.
I did the same thing with Carter, for the sheriff. We started to where Operation Stone Garden was taking 3 or 4 months, and at one point they owed us about $1 million. I mean, that's a big grant. So what I told Carter, I said, well, stop all overtime. We're not gonna approve anything until we get reimbursed. And when it hit their pocket, amazingly, within a week, we got paid. So,
I
you
mean,
know,
a simple example is with the International Bridge. We're trying to get GSA to deposit into the International Bridge account instead of to the general fund. Right now, it's coming into the general fund. So International Bridge, of course, has their expenditures, but they're not showing that income until later when we make an adjustment because it's all going into the general fund. It was the exact same thing. Money's going into the general fund.
What happens, honestly, and it's if the commissioner's court was to say, you know what, we don't want to do CPS, me quitan una moneda, excuse my language, because
no, I mean,
it
that's a
used to
very,
be, where we would do court once every month at least, or maybe once every 2 months, and now it's become literally every single week. It's just.
no, that's the service that we need, I mean, without a doubt. Okay, any other questions? If not, I do have a motion and a second. All in favor, please, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 23 is to approve an opening of an account for the Crime Against Women Division by Mr. Ramirez.
Just move, Your Honor.
second.
Moved and second, discussion. All in favor, please, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 24, I'm sorry, is an action item, and this to open, again, an account for the Homeland Security Investigation overtime. Moved in second, discussion. All in favor, please, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And item 25 is to request a loan from the general fund in the amount of $100 to open the account.
Number 26 as well.
I just move that on both.
For both of them. Okay, I have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Second, 25 and 26.
This is what I'm talking about for the fire department that they need to put on the agenda as well for that account.
Yeah, but this grants have already been approved. Okay, see that one has.
You approve those. Right, I'm just saying,
Yeah,
when they
but
do,
we
they
need
need
to
to
go.
be sure to do that,
Sure.
otherwise we can't open it.
All in favor, please, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 27 is an action item that's to approve a forfeiture account proposed budget for the chapter 59. I have a motion and a second, this is for the sheriff's office. Discussion. All in favor, please, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, then we're going to the amendments. Items 28 through 36 are budget amendments.
Yes, sir, all those have been reviewed, and we recommend that they go through.
Motion to approve.
Okay. Moved and second to approve, discussion. All in favor, please, aye. Opposed? Motion carries. So I've got 1055, and pursuant to section 551.074, we will go into executive session to discuss order of salaries.